Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera, saya Ivan Faruqi, and for Agenda AWANI tonight, we are honoured. Joining us today is Dr. Swee Chai, which is an activist joining us. She joined us like few years back, which at that time was also talking about Palestine, and this time also we want to focus on issues in Palestine, which Kamala Harris, the Vice President of United States, stated that what's happening in Gaza right now is an unending nightmare, and Malaysia has continuously, for multiple times, urged for a ceasefire, permanent ceasefire, not a temporary one, not just a humanitarian ceasefire, a complete ceasefire in order for us to stop no more killings among Palestinians in Gaza especially. So for tonight, we are joining us today, Dr. Swee Chai, an activist, to tell us from the perspective of activists and medical officers for years of experience giving medical aid to Palestinians and all of her humanitarian works. And of course, we want to hear firsthand what's happening now in Gaza. Doctor, thank you for joining us. So maybe we want to start with there. From your perspective, Awani has been reporting about Palestine
I know
since
you know
the past
more than me.
few months. But we do not have that first-hand experience, seeing what happened closely. So from your experience, already been in Palestine few times, and then this time it's much more worse. So can you share with us your thought on that?
Yeah, I have been with the Palestinians for 42 years.
42 years?
You're not born yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started life as a very Zionist Christian supporting Israel. In 1982, I volunteered to look after the wounded in Lebanon who were the victims of the Israeli invasion. Because at that time, we were also, like you now, watching the Israeli bombs killing people, destroying houses, offices, and so on. So although at that time I was sympathetic to Israel, I cannot understand why women and children and innocent people are all dying and being wounded. So I thought the least I can do as a Christian is to volunteer to do something as part of a medical team. So it was on that trip that I learned about a people called Palestinians, and they are not the PLO terrorists, which the newspaper in my country described. They were people, and I learned about how they lost their country in 1948, and how 750,000 of them has to walk to find themselves in the 58 refugee camps scattered all over the Middle East. So fast forward, they never went home. So that's how I learned about Palestinian. And of course, it could still be a very humanitarian and a very intellectual relationship. But unfortunately, after they forced the PLO leave Lebanon, instead of having peace guaranteed by the USA, Israel invaded on land. The tanks came, surrounded the refugee camp I'm working in. I was working in a hospital called Gaza Hospital. I never realized that since then I've got so much to do with Gaza. And they came and they surrounded the camp, they sealed the camp, and sent in militia to massacre unarmed people. And we were working in a hospital non-stop, and then we were taken out at gunpoint. And as I came out, then I realized what happened. About 3,500 people were murdered. Their bodies lying in the camp alleys, and the desperate woman who tried to give me her baby, but both of them were killed. And then I learned, because it's one thing knowing that they're Palestinian refugees, it's another thing looking at the dead bodies and knowing that each of them will carry an identity card saying that they come from Rafah, they come from, Jaffa, come from all over Palestine. So it is not a situation that's intellectual anymore. So it has become part of my life. So that's how I just became a Palestinian, you can call it activist, but I'll call it as a friend of the Palestinians and also part of their family, because I actually felt at that time I would ask God to give the remainder of my life to support them.
And that is when medical aid for Palestinians was established.
Yeah.
And then what have been...
And every year we said, next year Palestine will be free and you will go home and you will have your own hospitals and you don't need us anymore. We'll come as friends and celebrate with you. 42 years later, it didn't happen. Throughout these 42 years, more and more Palestinians were killed. And of course, the other side's map grew bigger and bigger. And more people came to support the Palestinians. Now, I want to clarify, this is very important because I've written a position paper on how to support the Palestinians. And the Palestinians say, you mustn't forget, Swee, that the problem did not begin on the 7th of October. They've been killing us all these years. And, we cannot be ahistorical. The problem began 75 years ago. They were killed, their homes were demolished. Gaza has been under blockade for 17 years. If you're a child in Gaza and you're under 17, you have been blockaded, you have been through 6 wars, you have been under siege and living in this condition. So let's not talk about 7th of October. We talk about the Palestinian people who have lost their home, living as refugees, 6 million of them now, and also under blockade in Gaza, which means no freedom, nothing. And now, the situation in Gaza, as you are fully aware, is totally unbearable. And then many of us, like you, have been crying day and night when we see this, because our hearts were broken, and we despair, and we give up hope. But yet at the same time, we cannot give up hope because we know that the Palestinians did not give up hope. So as friends, you do not leave them. You have to support them in whatever way you can. And this one happened to be a family visit, which I planned 1 year ago, but then I arrived and I almost want to call it off because I cannot celebrate with my family when people were being murdered in Gaza. When children were lying under the rubble. And then today the figures are more than 31,000 killed. 50,000 women in Gaza who are pregnant are giving birth to children on the rubble in the refugee camps with no medical care. Not because Gaza didn't have medical care, they have 36 hospitals, but each one of the hospitals were either bombed or destroyed. Their doctors and nurses arrested, some of them don't know to where. More than 400 of them were killed. 158 UNRWA workers were killed. You just can't believe that the rest of the world is watching it and not caring. So that is a crime which we have to bear. And it's no good saying in a year's time, oh, I didn't know it's that bad. You know, because we are seeing it in real time. In 1982, when the massacre happened, I was with the people who were killed. I tried to get help. Nobody knew. There was no social media. So it's only when we came out and saw the dead bodies, we knew it's happened. But today we know, we see in real time the Palestinians filming their own execution. And we have to do something. Otherwise, the judgment will be upon us.
And the question is, have we not done enough? I mean, for the general public, they try to give donation and then they try to appeal to the government to do something at the United Nations level and so on, even in the international court. What do you say about all those actions that we have seen today? Of course, still it doesn't give any effect, but
no, it's been very effective. Yeah, I'm glad you talked about United Nations because, I was following the submission to the ICJ. We were really desperate because Gaza is completely 80% of the homes and buildings all destroyed, and people were living in tents, and being killed, and there's so many orphans without family, and the bodies under the rubble. Then came the ICJ, right? Who South Africa submitted, a complaint of genocide to be investigated. Submission was done on the 28th of December, and the interim ruling was a proper ceasefire and more food and aid to Gaza. So that was announced on the 26th of January. On the 27th of January, Israel said that 13 members of United Nations Work and Relief Agency, which is the agency mandated by the UN to look after refugees of Palestine. They came into existence since 1949, when the world realized that the Palestinians really will be destitute for a long time. And they are the ones who look after the pregnant mother, milk for the babies, healthcare, primary healthcare, schooling, buildings, hygiene, sanitation, water, and so on, education. So they are the ones who actually have kind of allowed and supported generations of Palestinian refugees to survive. So we cannot conceive that at this moment, after the ICJ ruling that they need more food, more medicine, that Israel called for a defunding, which means withdrawal of funds for the UNRWA. And together with some Western countries and Australia and Canada and Japan, 75% of the UNRWA budget will be cut. So that was terrible. And it's the first time I've seen very, very strong Palestinians cry, because every one of them will be impacted. You know, even the top leaders of the PLO or the PA, and so they are refugees, okay? They are vaccinated by UNRWA. But I want to tell you something. I think on the 22nd of February, maybe I'm wrong, the Malaysian Foreign Ministry team has submitted to the ICJ. And 2 paragraphs of their submission was calling on governments from all over the world to officially fund UNRWA to make up the deficit, which is really like a breath of fresh air. So I feel that this is something which people in Malaysia can do. Not pushing the government, but pushing through all the embassies down here to make up the loss. We cannot have the lives of Palestinian refugees dangling on the whims and fancies of this accusation. Right, even if 13 members of UNRWA actually participated in the 7th October, UNRWA in Gaza employed 30,000 Palestinians. So it's less than 0.01% who might actually be guilty. And based off that, you actually withdraw funding and cause a massive death to this. So this is a very serious thing. And I just feel that this is a question we have to address. Because we cannot say we support the right of Palestinian self-determination. We cannot say that we support this and another and allow the next generation of Palestinians to die in this cruel way. And you will do it.
Yeah.
My government has defunded, okay? Yeah.
Is there any new position on that?
No, still defunding.
Still defunding.
But the excuse is we already contributed this year. Yeah, but they haven't, because January 27, we haven't contributed.
Zero, nothing.
Not giving anything.
So what does it mean for Palestinians, since UNRWA is being defunded, and then 36 of the hospital now bombarded, and some of them being under siege by the Israeli.
Some of them gone, okay, flattened.
So what does it mean for Palestinians in terms of healthcare?
Yeah, in terms of healthcare, talking as a doctor, we have to, I feel very passionately about it, because I work on the British NHS. I've been 46 years as a doctor on the British NHS. The Palestinians deserve a good healthcare. They, like the rest of us, deserve that, and we have to give them that. But if you're talking about rebuilding the healthcare, we have to refurbish the hospital. We've got to bring in field hospital while this is being done. We've got to allow medicine to come through Rafah. Right now, you've got 2 miles of trucks blockaded, not allowed to get in. We got to send in doctors and nurses to help them because their doctors and nurses were killed. The rest are exhausted. Can you imagine 5 months working under bombardment when your families were killed, and then every day you got 600 patients come to you, and then see your patients die? You know, so we have to support them in manpower, in temporary hospital, field hospital, and then slowly, as Gaza is being rebuilt, then we can support the rehabilitation of Gaza. And I want to tell you something. I know Gaza. I was in Gaza, you know, first time I went there was 1988, and Gaza was beautiful. It is like an orchard. It's green, and it's got flowers, you know, and a very beautiful people. Not the nightmare that was now. But I still believe that one day we can help them make it the garden it was, you know. So
but then there's still hope, certainly.
We have no right to give up hope on their behalf, okay? If we are friends, we do not abandon them. You can't do that, right?
Yeah. Since we cannot abandon them, there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
So for those who are coming up from Gaza into Gaza, what should be done? What are the focus that we should, you know?
The focus is that, you know, medical aid is something, okay? We are all doing. And also, we have to really make sure that UNRWA receive funding. Because we are talking about, look, 50,000 women pregnant, delivering. Who is going to look after babies, okay? No milk, no maternal child. We have to rebuild all that and help them. They will rebuild, but we've got to support them. And we have to understand that in doing it, it is not a burden. The burden is watching them die. You know, the hope and the what we call it, the blessing is to be able to support them live. You see, and that is that is not a duty, but it's a privilege. You know, so we have to be rational. You know, and giving money is excellent. Demonstrating, calling for a ceasefire is very important. The Malaysian NGOs have done a lot. Over the years, I've worked with wonderful Malaysian NGOs, and your medical team is in there now. Don't know how they got in. There's a big blockade, but they are there. You know, the British medical team was also there. You know, so it's not a lot. The Kuwaiti has built a field hospital in the south, so that people can come and so on. Now, you know, so we will continue to call for a ceasefire, a proper ceasefire, you know, so that aid can go in, lives can be saved, Gaza can have something to eat, to drink, with homes, you know, even tents should be heated, not like that, you know. You know, Gaza is raining now, right? It's flooded. The refugees are living like that. But security, assurance from my side is I know the Palestinians are very strong people. And they will never give up. If we don't want to go with them, it's our loss.
Because they will keep fighting.
They will.
Even if it's their own.
Okay, I always tell people, they ask me, if you never met Palestinians, how would you be like? I said, I'd probably be very comfortable, a little bit more money, but I won't know what is the true meaning of solidarity. I won't know what's the true meaning of humanity. I won't understand the meaning of justice. And on top of all, I won't understand the meaning of struggle. And these are all the things they've taught me. So can you imagine if I haven't got all these things, my life will be so poor, right? So a few days in Israeli prison or being deported is small problem.
Even after a few times, it's still so much little than what the Palestinians are facing.
If I were Palestinian, probably dead. They would love to kill me, but probably not worth the publicity. So, you know, Malaysia is doing great things. So I want to tell my Malaysian friends, please don't think you're not doing enough. If everybody in the world is doing what they are doing, we will have shifted the dynamics very much forward. And we won't have to have an ICJ that comes 75 years late. We will have an ICJ that began many years ago. So if there are Malaysian lawyers and legal NGOs that is actually doing this for the Palestinians, support them as well. It's very easy during Ramadan to give zakat, but zakat is also fighting for justice to the legal system, so we mustn't forget that.
And Dr., maybe we want to also give attention to those people who have been working for so long in Gaza, those who are not in the limelight, they don't get the focus from the news media. So what can you tell about all these people who have been giving service, very good service to the Palestinian?
You mean the non-Palestinians?
Yes.
Oh, gee, yeah. You know, some of I'll talk about Malaysian. I don't want to talk about because, you know, your NGOs have been rebuilding hospitals for the Palestinians, not only once, but many times. The first time I came across one of the NGOs, they have rebuilt the only rehabilitation hospital in Gaza 4 times. But this time it's already flattened. But I know the moment there's a proper ceasefire, they will do it again. And their teamwork, you know. So not only that, there are other nationalities doing that. So I wish there are more people participating. We have friends of the Palestinians who have walked with them and struggled with them and so on. But we need more.
And then after what happened and what they've been witnessing now happening in Gaza especially, what would you say, and then you know, what's your prospect in the future? Will there be a lot more people who want to join your cause to give service and healthcare, milk for the babies, food for those who are hungry in Gaza especially? And
to plead for those who are arrested and so on. Okay, I want to just tell this very subjective. When I came back in 1982, we tried to do a demonstration. 500. We were very happy.
500 people are really very happy.
Very happy, yeah. And of course, we got hassle and then all that. Today, 800,000. That's the difference. And people begin to see, you know, but people are not stupid, you know. They look, they say, well, Israel has the right to defend, but what about the 30,000 Palestinians who were killed? You know, what about Gaza? Completely, no homes left, completely gone, schools gone, mosques gone, you know, the churches also gone. They also attacked the Christians, you know. My hospital, which I worked in during the first Intifada, was a Christian hospital built in 1891 by the Christian missionary. They bombed that hospital.
Flattened really now?
I think they leave 1 floor.
I see.
Yeah, they got 1 floor. So no supply, no medicine, you know, people would just go there to die. The wounded got nowhere to be. The first bomb that fell on Akli Hospital, 500 people killed. You see, and then they try and say, oh, we didn't drop the bomb, Islamic Jihad did. Islamic Jihad don't have that kind of bombs, you know. Only one power in the Middle East has that kind of bombs, you see. So, and don't be afraid to speak up. You have to speak up because everybody else is. Don't be left behind. This is the time to stand for justice. This is the time to stand up, be counted. People will say, what for? You know, they're cynical and they say, yeah, it's all right, you give money, you don't know where it goes and so on. NGOs are not cleaning their house, they are anti-Semitic. You just help. If you don't like NGO A, you can give the NGO B. You know, you can sign petition, just do it. Because if you don't do it, the world will not change. And when it's changed, it's no credit to you. And saying sorry at the time is too late. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Yeah, I want to recommend you my book. This book was first published by Times International. It was withdrawn when they found out it's all about Palestinians in 1989. So for 20 years, nobody can find this book. This time, a Malaysian publisher has taken it up and brought out a new edition. So if you want to read about the Palestinians in Lebanon and so on and so forth, and you know, there are more Palestinians living outside than inside because they keep driving people out. Just get it, okay?
Try to get from Beirut to Jerusalem
Yeah.
from Ilham Books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
From Ilham Books, published in 2019. So a
This
further
is-
readings for
yeah.
our viewers,
Yeah.
rather than more than just what have been shared, Doctor. They
Yeah.
can also.
And this is for your.
Thank you so
for
much,
you.
Doctor.
Yeah, I brought it. I didn't bring it to show. I bring it as a present to you.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for
We
joining
have
us.
to be hopeful.
Yes.
We have to be positive. We have to be strong.
Hope is still there. Much more work to be done, but
Yeah.
one day
Let's do it.
Palestine
And
will
there are
be
more
free.
people doing it now.
Yeah. And
During
then
my time, it's terrible. Yeah, you feel alone. You see, today you're not alone.
especially the younger one.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
they're not afraid.
Yeah.
They are really strong. I say, oh, you say this in public. See, yeah, but it's true. Why can't I say it?
Thank you so much, Doctor, for
thank you.
joining us. So that's all for tonight. Agenda Awani. I'm From Faruqi, and as Doctor mentioned just now, keep up hope and keep speaking for Palestine until Palestine is free. So that's all for tonight. I'm From Faruqi. Salam hormat.